Well, hello and welcome to Vets Clinic Live with me, Joe Ingalls.
And me, Adrian Corner.
I gather you had a very good show last week in my absence.
Excellent in your absence.
Yes, I've got lots of people saying it was the best. So, but I'm afraid I'm back. But no, thank you for holding the fort.
No problem.
It was all about skin last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had an excellent guest in from the specialist service down the road, Filippo. Really interesting. I think it was just kind of two vetty people chatting away on the sofa. Very interested in what the other one had to say. So I really enjoyed it. Hopefully the people at home did as well. Well,
and if you missed it, it's there on our catch-up player. But today we've got an equally fascinating show, if not more so. We've got some really amazing guests coming in. We've got the fresh from Crufts, the winner of the Friends for Life Award, Owen and his dog Haatchi, and they're going to be with us very shortly, which is very exciting. We've got a live competition. You can win not just a small bag of Vets Kitchen food, but a big bag. It's such an exciting competition this week. And we've got our normal look at the news stories, and we've got loads of questions today, haven't we, to get through.
Loads of questions. So, on the back of the skin special, I think.
Yeah, lots of skin questions, and one about budgerigars, which I'm still pondering. So thank you for all your questions. You can still get more in if you've got some questions for either myself or Adrian. And we've got announcing our winner of the Pets with Props competition to win a portrait of your pet. So that's going to be announced right at the end of the show. But first, let's just tell you about our competition this week. And in honour of Owen and Haatchi and their award at Crufts, the Friends for Life competition, we want you to tell us why you and your pets are friends for life. So you've got that special bond with your dog or cat or hamster or whatever it may be. What is so special? Why is your dog your best friend for life? And we're not going to judge it. Is going to be judged by the experts, who are Owen and his family, Will and Colleen, who are going to judge the award. So we should have a post up on Facebook, so put your thoughts on there, and we'll get Owen and his family to judge that at the end of the show.
You and Jack going to enter?
Well,
Friends for Life?
I'm not sure it's open to employees of but no, I think me and Jack would have a pretty good go. I mean, nothing like Owen's story, but he's a good old dog, Jack. Yeah.
Me and Poppet should enter.
You and Poppet, she hates you. Enemies for life. Let's have a look at these news stories, shall we? And the first one is about emotions. And it's about that a study has revealed that actually humans have evolved to understand our pets' emotions, or specifically our dog's emotions. So do you think you can read an emotion into a dog?
I think you can. I mean, you're probably better placed than me to talk about reading dogs, because obviously you have one yourself, whereas I have cats. But I can definitely tell when my cat is feeling miserable or happy, or not just because it's trying to bite me or not eating. But I think you can definitely, you see it when they come into consults. You can tell before you get them out of the basket this is a happy cat, and not just from its body position, but definitely its facial expression. I mean, a grumpy cat has a very particular look about it from the facial end, and I think the same's true for dogs, really.
I think it's what this study is saying, that it's actually it's something we've learnt or evolved over the last 100,000 years, that we've had a relationship with dogs, and it's helped our relationship because we can read dogs, and I guess they can read us as well. Because I guess you look at another animal, and you might look at a budgerigar, and you're going to really struggle to recognise an angry budgerigar or a happy budgerigar, but probably the signs are still there. And if we'd evolved alongside budgerigars, we'd probably be able to read more into them.
Absolutely. And I think they can read us. I think pets can tell when you're unwell, when you're feeling under the weather. That's definitely the case.
Yeah, and I guess with someone like Haatchi, he obviously has a very deep bond with Owen, and they can read each other's emotions. We'll talk about that more later on. But no, it's an interesting study, and it's actually put some real science behind what is something we feel intuitively. But next story is an ongoing one that we've talked about before, about medical detection dogs sniffing out breast cancer. And it is always one of those things that you think of and you think, that can't be right. It smacks of slightly complimentary, hurdy-gurdy stuff, doesn't it? But there's real evidence behind it, isn't there?
And not just from the point of view of cancer. I mean, this is just one in a long list of things that you hear that animals can detect. I know that there's a bacteria that you can get in your stomach that causes ulcers that can go on triggers out. There's medical detection dogs out there that can smell that on your breath. There's dogs that are used in the management of epilepsy. They can predict when someone's going to have a seizure and alert people to that.
And I think with these, the ones based on smell, so that when they're detecting cancer or diabetes or whatever, diabetes is probably easier because it's the smell of sugar in the urine, but for cancer, they're detecting minute quantities of cancer-specific proteins or other compounds, and nobody really knows quite what they are, but they've got such sensitive smell sense of smell that they can detect these aromatic compounds. And I was talking to Claire Guest, who's the chief executive of Medical Detection Dogs, and she was saying the ultimate aim is actually not to have a fleet of dogs doing this, but is to work out what the dogs can smell and then build a machine that can do it. And because, you know, imagine if you could have a machine where, you know, it could just take a tiny sample of something from a person and detect cancer. That would be much more useful in the long run than very expensive trained dogs. But it's amazing that these dogs can do far more than our technology can.
Yeah, and we don't understand it at all. I mean, hopefully maybe it is the smell, maybe it's something else. I remember there was a big story in the newspaper last year about a cat in an old people's home that seemed to have an uncanny...
predicting death.
Which one's going to die that night, yeah.
Maybe again there's a smell or something that comes
smell of death. But
I
don't know, I'm sure there's possibly something else.
Well, just honest, we had the medical detection dogs opposite us at Crufts, and I steered well clear of them, because the last thing you want to do is, you walk up near them and suddenly go, oh, and start pouring at your kind of leg or something, and you think...
Did you stay clear of the drug detection dogs as well?
Very well clear of the drug detection dogs. Last story we've got for you today is, it seems like every week we have a story about a dog missing various amounts of anatomy who can walk, and here's another one, and I think we've got a picture here of this Chinese dog who was born with no legs at all, and he can stand on his hind legs and get around. Absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, once again, just shows what can happen, but I want to see something, sad for the dog, but I want to see a different kind of limb or something missing next time. I don't know, something with two tails or... something different. We've had these no-limbed front leg dogs. Now they're all jumping on the bandwagon. I think we want something.
You want something different.
Something different.
Tell us about your stories out there that
goldfish
of animals with. Yes. Right. Well, so we've got lots coming up in the show. We'd like to get your entries in for our competition about why you and your pets are friends for life. We've got a few coming in already. We've got Claire who's saying, me and my dog Bella are friends for life because she makes me smile every day. She gives me a reason to leave the house if I'm unhappy, as a constant sort of happiness. I'm lucky to be her friend for life because she is my friend for life. Well, it doesn't get much better than that, does it?
No, that's a pretty good start. Yeah.
Marcus said, because jelly makes me smile no matter what. Oh, jelly makes me smile, but then that's when I'm eating it. But keep them coming in. It'd be lovely, not just for the winning of the competition, but it's lovely to hear these stories because they're very nice, aren't they? Put a smile on our face. So thank you very much for now, Adrian.
No problem.
But we're going to swap over now and talk to Haatchi's owner, Owen, and his family about their amazing success at Crufts. So we're very excited about that. And we're going to come back with Adrian later on for our vet Q&A. So there's still time to get your questions in for that. But before we meet Haatchi and Owen, here's a quick clip of the moment of truth when they won their awards at Crufts recently. And then we'll come back and meet them in person very shortly.
With the help of Tim Reddish from the British Paralympic Association and Sir John Sperling, who's Vice President of the Kennel Club, Daniel George as well. Come on out here, and I hope that one of you is holding in your hand an envelope with the name of the winner.
The winner of Friends for Life 2013 with 54% of the vote is Owen and Haatchi.
Owen, congratulations. Would you like to say a word to everybody?
Yes. I want to say thank you for all of you for voting for me.
Owen, you are an absolute superstar, and so too is Haatchi. Let's give them both a round of applause, our winners of Friends for Life 2013, Owen and Haatchi.
Well, I'm really very excited and pleased to be joined on the sofa here by Owen and Haatchi, Colleen and Will, Owen's parents. And if you don't know the story, then Owen and Haatchi were awarded the Friends for Life award recently at Crufts. Owen was diagnosed with a syndrome called Schwartz-Jampel syndrome, which affects Owen's muscles, and the story, which we'll come to shortly, about how Haatchi has transformed his life, really is really inspirational, and was why they won the award. And it's a real example of what a wonderful place a dog can play in someone's life and have a really transformative effect. So congratulations to you all, and particularly to you, Owen. It must have been quite an exciting time going up there at Crufts.
Yes.
How did it feel to go and talk about Haatchi and everything in front of so many people?
It was busy, wasn't it?
Was it pretty busy and exciting? I bet it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And has Haatchi made a really big difference to your life?
Yes, yes.
And what does he do for you?
He
makes you light and confident, doesn't he?
Yeah, and is he a really good friend to you?
Yes.
Yeah, it must be great, because he's such a lovely dog, isn't he? And I mean, he's got an amazing story himself, Haatchi, hasn't he? But just coming back to his competition, I mean, it was an overwhelming success, wasn't it? I mean, 54% of the vote.
We were really shocked when we were told. It was all the dogs up there were so deserving, and the people, we'd met them before the competition a couple of days beforehand, and everyone had been so brilliant to Owen and really supportive, and it would have been nice if we could all have got first place, but when they read it out, we were dumbfounded. Yeah.
So you've become a bit of a celebrity. As do you find yourself getting stopped in the street, or?
Sainsbury's was interested.
But it must be nice, that that you've got this recognition for what is a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Is it nice being people know who you are?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. So can you just tell me, Will, how this all started? I mean, with Owen's medical condition and so on.
Owen's when he outgrew his pram or his pushchair, we got a wheelchair for him, and he didn't really like going into it because he was getting stared at by members of the public. So he'd rather be carried or on my shoulders, so people wouldn't stare at him and be normal. When we got Haatchi, it just changed. He wanted to go out and walk him in the wheelchair and go out for walks and be more active in his life.
So it's really built his confidence, I guess, is the main thing it's done. And Colleen, tell me about the story. I mean, the story about Haatchi itself is a great story, isn't it? I mean, not just what he's done, but the rescue story that goes with it.
It is. I mean, excuse me. It all started off with me perusing through a social networking site, and I just saw a photo of his face, and it just grabbed my attention because he's an unusual breed. You don't see them every day.
Anatolian Shepherd.
Anatolian Shepherd, yes. And it wasn't until I actually clicked into the photo to look at the story behind that I discovered that he'd been tied to a rail track.
Were you actively looking for a dog for Owen at this point?
Not just for Owen, but we were looking for a rescue dog in general. Right. We had one already, who was a rescue, and we felt that we could provide another rescue dog a really good home as well. So we were actively looking, and that's how he came about, and made inquiries. He was under the wing of UK German Shepherd Rescue at the time, and he was being fostered by Ross McCarthy and James Hill from Dogs and Kisses. So I went up to meet him, and he literally took my breath away from the minute I locked eyes on him. And
he's quite he's that kind of dog, isn't he?
He is.
He's got so much about him and character, and he'd lost that. He'd owned quite horrific injuries to overcome, hadn't he?
They were still quite raw when I first met him. His stump was still completely bald, and you could really see the scar. And up until the day I'd gone there, he hadn't actually moved his tail stump at all. That's when I was actually dropped onto the floor to give him a stroke that it moved for the first time, and that was quite something for all of us, really. But seeing that reaction when Owen and Haatchi first met.
Do you think there was a special, we were talking earlier on about this role of emotions and stuff, and do you think there was something special between these two?
Definitely. It was literally a split-second moment from the minute they both locked eyes on each other that you just can't put into words. It was utterly incredible. It was electric, and it was like they'd almost met before. Very, very strange.
And it was only about a year ago, wasn't it, that they met? And what's been the difference in Owen in that year, would you say?
He's concentration at school's a lot more. He's more outgoing. He'll chat to anyone now, explain what's going on with Haatchi. So yeah, his confidence has grown, and yeah, he's just bettering himself.
Yeah, so I mean it's and I mean Haatchi, not just helping Owen, but he's gone on to help other people as well, isn't he? Because you take him into hospitals and places.
Yes, he does therapy work for a wide range, from the elderly right through to very young children, and they love the fact that, especially with his height, being such a big dog, especially people in wheelchairs don't actually have to reach as far. They find it a lot easier because his head is about level with the top of their armrest.
He's so sort of patable and kind of, he's just kind of, he's so
there's plenty to grab.
And
because he's so thick-skinned, children, there's one child used him as like a little mini trampoline, just bounced up and down, and he didn't bat an eyelid. He just thought it was fine, you know.
And Owen, do you mind sort of Haatchi going off and cuddling other people?
Yeah.
You do mind? But it's nice, isn't it, for him to go and help, you know, because he's such a lovely dog. You must be quite proud of what he does, helping other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? And do you want to show me what you've got over there, Owen? Your behind you is the trophy that you won, which is quite something, isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah.
You got it hold of it?
Yeah.
Good lad.
So that was the trophy you picked up at Crufts, was it? And that must have been a very proud moment for you.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I bet it was. Well, it's been absolutely lovely. You know, talking to you all again, because I know we've had Haatchi on the show, but the first time we've had the whole family here together, which it's been lovely. And you know, we get lots of these stories when we talk about inspirational dogs, but to actually meet, you know, everyone involved and see such an impact it makes, and it's so heartwarming, and I'm sure everyone watching will agree. And you know, I guess hope you can put your experiences to good use with our competition as well. So we're asking everyone to share their experiences of, you know, why their pets and make such good friends for life. And I'm sure none of the stories are going to be quite up to in this league, but you know, it'd be nice if you guys don't mind hanging around backstage and having a look. And Owen, if you could help us judge the competition, will you do that for us? Excellent. Right, so and then we'll maybe see if we can get one of you to come back in later on and announce the winner. So get your entries coming in to Facebook. And if you've got any other questions you want to put to any of the family here, then we can ask that for you and put that up on Facebook, because I'm sure there'll be lots of, you know, people who are interested in the story. And once again, thank you ever so much for coming in, and congratulations. I hope you carry on all the good work that you do, and I hope the relationship carries on going well, and you do well at school, etc. So we're going to just have a quick break now, and then we're going to get our head vet, Adrian, back in to answer your veterinary questions and so on. So we'll say goodbye for now. Lovely to see you all.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be back very shortly with Adrian. Well, he's just an amazing story, isn't it? I mean,
you get all the best guests.
It is. I mean, it's
nothing wrong with Filippo last week, but best guest so far, I think. Yeah, brilliant.
It just pulls at your heartstrings seeing Owen, you know, obviously has a struggle, and the difference that a dog like, and you know, the fact that as well, it's not just any old dog. It's a dog who was tied to a railway line and lost his leg.
The whole
doesn't
story
get much more emotional than that, does it? But from the emotional to the more rational. We have some questions.
It's also emotional.
It is, isn't it? So we're going to kick off our vet Q&A with Kerry Vincent, who says, my dog has a hot spot on her back. What could it be? She was stung by a wasp when she was a puppy. Could it be connected?
Well, I suppose if they're in exactly the same area, potentially. That said, I mean, usually most animal stings go away quite quickly. I mean, hot spots are something we see quite routinely. They tend to be like a little patch of moist eczema up underneath the skin, and if you clip that off and put some cream on there or bathe it, or maybe onto antibiotics, it clears up pretty quickly. So it tends to be because the temperature in the house got too hot, or there was a repeat insect bite. But I suppose it's possible that something that bit you before has retained in that area and predisposes you to inflammation, but I think more likely it's unrelated.
It's just unrelated. Yeah, I think, you know, it sounds like it to me. I guess it depends when she was a puppy. If it was only a few months ago,
Yep.
That's more likely. If it was 10 years ago, less likely.
Less likely.
Yeah. And probably the treatment is going to be the same anyway, isn't it? As you said, creams or antibiotics, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, Sue has said, my dog has seen you twice for a skin complaint. This could be probably one of yours. He's had steroids, which seem to work, but as soon as he stops taking them, we're back to the same old problem. I mean, this is, such a common issue, because steroids are very effective. They're just not particularly good for dogs, and they don't cure the problem, do they? So
no, I mean, I'm sure, as you're aware, because you sat and watched back the show from last week, this is exactly what we were talking about. That steroids can be really effective at controlling the signs, but there are side effects on those, and really you don't want to be on them long term. And they're just managing the disease. They're not fixing the underlying problem. But in a lot of cases, unfortunately, that's kind of the end goal that you get to, is that you're managing the disease and the flare-ups. Because
sometimes you can't get rid of an allergy.
It's a real nightmare to figure out what they're allergic to, because it can be anything at all. You know, it can be anything in the home environment, it can be anything in the external environment, so your pollens, etc., and it can be anything in the food that you're eating. And it's really difficult to figure out exactly what it is. There are skin tests and blood tests that can help you, and if your dog's really badly affected, there's certainly something to consider, but they're not cheap. And even if you find something on those that you can do something about, you're talking about a year, 2 years of immunotherapy, so vaccines against that till you see an improvement. So allergies are a nightmare, and that kind of thing of flaring up and down, as long as they're infrequent flare-ups, is kind of what most people get to as their accepted outcome, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you. Next one from Katie, I like this one. Do dogs have nightmares? Twice this week I've been woken up by a dog howling in his sleep. I'm sure they do, because every dog I've ever had has dreamt. You know, you'll see them there kind of lying by the fire going like this, chasing rabbits in their sleep. I'm sure everyone's seen that happen. So if you're going to have dreams, you're going to have good and bad dreams, can't you? I mean,
I'm sure it can happen, yeah. I mean,
probably they dream about coming in to see the vets, don't they?
Yeah.
Kind of,
that's not a nightmare. Not here.
Not here.
Clinic. No.
But I'm sure they do have.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I mean, obviously, we're probably never going to know, but yes, I'm sure it's quite likely.
Right, Tina. My dog, a Sharpie Staff, with a very short sandy coat, has red spots which are from under his chin to his chest. Only on the underside of his neck, so I guess we're talking about this area here. He was wearing an Easy Dog neoprene collar, and this rash has only appeared since he's been wearing it. It's now taken it off, but the rash is still there after a week, and he's not scratching at it.
Sure. So again, we meant to touch on this briefly last time, is that sometimes you can get what we call a secondary infection coming in on top. So it may well be that these little red rashes are bacterial infection that have come in on top if, for example, when he had the collar on, he had a little scratch at it. And therefore he's broken the skin surface and he's got this infection that's come in now. I mean, it could be that what's also there is still leftover allergy, etc., from the collar, and in time, once it's gone, that rash would fade too. But either bathe the area with something antibacterial or take him into the vet, and it should clear up. And if it was the collar, it shouldn't come back again.
Okay, Jill has said, my puppy is 9 weeks old and gets hiccups after most meals. Will this stop as he gets older? Is he eating too fast? Not sure how to stop them happening. I mean, hiccups are an interesting thing, other that nobody really knows why they happen. Well, you can tell me you do.
No, well, I know, the pathway behind it, but nobody knows why it happens.
Yeah, so it's a sort of spasm of the diaphragm.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, generally more common in puppies.
Yeah, that's pretty common actually, that puppies will get this, and generally speaking they grow out of it. I did have one not too long ago that was several years old and was still doing it.
It'd be a nightmare for my dog Jack, because he's petrified of hiccups for some bizarre reason. So if he got hiccups, I don't know what he'd do.
Oh dear, that would be terrible.
So Jill, I mean, almost certainly the puppy will grow out of this. Eating too fast, better to have it in small meals.
I think that's generally a good rule of thumb anyway, if they're eating too fast, because that can cause problems. And ways to slow them down, I mean, you can either feed them little and often, or you can feed them in something like the squirrel dude, so they've got to work for the food. Or one that works quite nicely is something like a Yorkshire pudding tray, where they can only eat a little bit at a time before they move on to the next one, and see if that helps the problem.
I think just some kind of make some changes are going to potentially help. Right, we carry on. We've got some questions from our friends over at Zoo Plus, and some interesting one. I like this one. This is one for you.
Thanks.
Sharon has said, how do you get fussy budgies to eat a balanced diet of fruit and veg when they just want seed and millet? Our budgie expert, Mr. Adrian Cornter.
Well, I have had a little look into this afternoon. Apparently it's very common for budgies to kind of get obsessed with their seed. which is really poor nutritional quality, but that's all they want to eat and get fat and not the nutrients that they need. So basically the recommendations are to feed a really top quality seed, and that's usually one that's got lots of different types in it rather than just one, because the overall nutrient quantity is better. To supplement them as well by putting some kind of vitamin supply in the water. And in terms of the fresh fruit and veg, doing things like grating up the carrot and putting that on and seeing what they're trying might work quite nicely.
I'm very impressed.
So there you go. There's also a very controversial area of sprouting seeds. So if you're really keen, you can Google sprouting seeds and decide for yourself whether that's a pro or
That was me
con.
thinking you didn't do any preparation for this.
Yeah, only that one. Yeah, when I see the word budgie or later on there's the word daegu, I had a little look for that one as well.
Right, Lisa has said, my Labrador has terrible problems with his ears. He's on hypoallergenic food. We've been using ear wash to no avail. Swabs showed bacterial infection, but antibiotics haven't made much difference. I mean, this is, I guess, come back to the skin problem with the ears being part of the skin system, and dogs with bad ears tend to have chronic problems, don't they? Because every time they get an ear infection, it makes things a bit worse. The ear canal gets a bit more thickened, less airflow getting in there, so it can be quite hard to resolve.
Yeah, it's kind of the ear infections are actually really interesting. We see lots of them, but it's kind of like a three-layered thing, okay? So you've got the infection that's going on within the ear, which here sounds like it's a bacterial infection. So with regard to that specifically, yes, antibiotic tablets can work, but actually antibiotics in the ear are the most effective. And there are different types of bacteria in the ear. There's what we call like a nice bacteria, that's a little, what we call cocci, so just a little spot down the microscope. That responds quite nicely to all the eardrops. And then there's the nasty one, which is like a rod bacteria, which is kind of the equivalent of MRSA in dogs' ears. And if you've got that one, you kind of really need to send a culture and sensitivity off to find out which is the best antibiotic to be using.
So you might be using antibiotics, but they're just having
They just
no
don't
effect.
work. Yeah, exactly. So you need to get on the right antibiotic for the bacteria. If there's bacteria down there, antibiotics is part of it. But the other two layers to the ear problem is that you can have an underlying factor. So here we suspect an allergy, and you've gone on a hypoallergenic food, but we discussed last week that hypoallergenic food doesn't necessarily fix the problem. If they're allergic to the things in that food, you're not going to get anywhere. And if it's not the food that's causing the problem, again, you're not going to get anywhere.
And I mean, it's only a small percentage of actual allergies are caused by food, aren't they? Sort of 10% or something. The majority of them tend to be caused by
dust mites and things like that, you know.
So.
So if you're not getting on top of that, that's one of the problems. And then there's also predisposing factors with the actual dog themselves. So do they have narrow canals? Do they like to swim? Do they have hairy ears? All these things can make the problem worse in certain dogs, and all these things need addressing.
And things that can be done other than the culture and sensitivity and the right antibiotics. I mean, there are surgical operations. There's flushing the ears, aren't there?
Yeah, flushing the ears if they're really full of crud. In terms of the surgical options, they tend to be more end stage, and that's the trouble. If you leave these ears or the infection goes on for a long time, even with appropriate treatment, the canal becomes so thickened with the inflammation that you can't get anything down there, and they just keep getting reinfections, and it's a real problem. And all you can do then is surgery to kind of remove the canal, and in worst cases you're removing part of the skull as well, because the middle ear becomes affected.
Best avoided by prompt treatment.
Yeah, exactly. Try and get on top of ear infections, because that can happen long term.
Just before we carry on, we've had some great comments for our competition, so thank you all for those. Keep them coming in. I can see the judging going on in the background as we speak. We've got Marie said, Claude will always be my friend and companion for life, no matter what I'm going through. He's always there with a smile on his face. Claire, my dogs Barney and Storm and all the others that have gone to Rainbow Bridge are and will be my friends for life, as they're always me forever, and vice versa. And loads more, so I can't read them all out, but because we need to get through our Q&As. But that is being judged as we speak, just over there. So let's just go back to our questions. So we've got to whip through these now. But Maria has said, my 2 rabbits are shedding their winter coats. Are there any supplements I can give to help them ensure their new coats are healthy? I mean, generally with rabbits, I would say the best thing for rabbits is fresh grass, and or a compressed diet made of fresh grass, or one of these pellets. In terms of supplements, I mean, really, I think if they have a healthy diet...
Yeah, I think if you've got a balanced diet, that's going to be good enough. And actually, with rabbits, because of the other problems that they can get, so obesity, horrible diarrhea, and the resultant fly strike, and teeth problems, I wouldn't really mess around with their diet too much. If they're on, mainly hay, small amount of pellets, occasional veg, and maybe fruit, don't mess with it, it's going to be fine.
Lovely. We've got a question here from... Skinzo O'Connor, who said, my 17-month-old Staffordshire Bull Terrier is really itching on her lower back. Vet says allergies and sent me away with tablets. Don't seem to be working. What can I do? Because it's driving me and her insane. She hasn't got it in her ears or anything, just her lower back. To me, to me, I suppose, if you've got quite a young dog intensely itching on the back, you've got to think of fleas, haven't you?
Yeah, the lower back, so just above the tail head. The classic 3 for those would be fleas in the majority of cases, worms and anal glands. Those tend to be the main ones. It could still be allergies.
And it's probably worth ruling those out first, isn't it?
Yes.
So make sure you've really sorted out the fleas, you've wormed them. If it's really around the base of the tail, then think about having the anal glands expressed. And if none of that works, then you will have to, I suppose, look into the allergy kind of issues.
Further. But that said, if it is an allergy and you're on treatment, and presumably that treatment's going to be steroid-based, possibly with the antibiotics on top, it really should be working if it's the right diagnosis. If it's not making any difference at all, and you've been on it for more than a couple of days, go back, because something else is going on that they're missing out on, whether that's secondary infection or a flea problem, etc.
So I'm just smiling because Owen is over there cuddling another dog.
Haatchi has been replaced.
Yes, by another puppy over there in the waiting room, having a whale of a time. Last question from Rainbow Sky, and this is one you've been looking forward to.
Yes.
Adrian. My Dagoos, which are these small little, sort of a bit like gerbils,
but bigger.
A bit bigger. Love their hay nuggets and occasional fenugreek crunchy, but is there anything fresh I can give them, such as cabbage leaves? I've always been too scared, as I know sugars can make them diabetic.
Yeah, I think the best answer here is probably don't. Because, as they quite rightly allude to there, the thing with Dagoos is if they eat anything that's got too much carbohydrate in it, because they're used to a real roughage-based diet, or anything that's too fat, that can trigger diabetes in these guys. So, generally speaking, there's not really a great deal you can do with them. When we were clicker training Dagoos here at the clinic, we gave them very rarely sunflower seeds and quite a lot of rolled oats. They didn't seem to cause a problem, but we didn't really go with anything fresh. And I think probably, I know it's nice to give them a variety, but I think you're best steering clear.
On the safe side. Okay, lovely. Well, thank you all for your questions. We are now going to announce the winners. Well, before we do announce the winners of our competition today, we're going to announce the winners of our Pets with Props competition. And this was a competition where we asked you to send in photos of your pets with props, and the winners receive a photo shoot with our Pet Poochie Portraits colleagues here in Swindon. And the winners for this competition, the first place is fantastic. It's a dog dressed up as a sort of superwoman, which is Tilly the dog, and owner Jerry Budd. We've got the photo up there now, so many congratulations. We'll be in touch to sort out your prize. And the runner-up is Bruno, who's cracking his black Labrador dressed up in a sort of like a tuxedo. Very cute. Owner Vicky Purnell. So thank you ever so much everyone for entering and for commenting and liking those so much. It's been a fantastic competition, and we're sure to show you the finished pictures when they're done shortly. So now the bit you've all been waiting for. We've had such fantastic number of really nice entries into this competition about Friends for Life, and we have to announce the winner. We have none other than Haatchi himself, who is hopefully going to come in. Come on in, Haatchi. Good dog. Look at that. And he's got something with him on the back here, judged by Haatchi and family. And the winner is Dawn Cooper. Dawn Spooner, which is on the Vet's Kitchen page. I haven't read that entry, but let me quickly go and find it, because I'm sure it's absolutely brilliant. Internet problems. Right, let's have a quick look at this one. He's quite good as a dispatch dog, isn't he? Fantastic. Right, bear with me for a minute. While I'm bearing with you, next week's show, we've got a cracking show as always. Phil.
I won't be here next week.
You're
no, I'm away. I'm in India, I'm afraid, so you'll be running the show without me. I'm sure it'll go swimmingly.
That's right, stop filling now.
Yeah, go.
Right, okay, so Dawn Spooner's winning entry into our competition was, me and my dogs are friends for life because we fit together, we're a unit. I don't work without him and he doesn't work without me. When he got seriously ill last year, he had to spend 5 days in the vet hospital. I couldn't function without him. Eventually, despite being very ill, the vet sent him home as he felt it was the best medicine he needed. The vet said he's never seen a dog owner with a bond like ours. He's my best mate, my buddy and my soulmate. He was on death row aged 8 weeks old and has been abused by men. He trusts me and I will love and protect him for life. Well, it doesn't get much better than that, does it?
Very good.
Yeah. Well, thanks ever so much, Colleen, and for Haatchi and Owen and Will for judging that competition. That really was some lovely stories, and thank you all for entering your your thoughts on there, which have been absolutely lovely. So coming up next week on Vets Clinic Live, we've got the Crufts semi-finalists and winners of ITV1's Boxing Day 2012 Crufts special That Dog Can Dance. Lucy and Indy are joining us next week on the sofa. It says here Q&A with head vet Adrian, but you're not here, right?
Yeah, especially phoning in from Delhi.
Phoning in from Delhi. So we'll
does the budget stretch to that?
Not sure it does, but we'll rustle up a substitute for you and the latest news story. So get your questions in. Thanks for watching, and I hope you agree. It's been a really nice show. And it's been lovely to see Haatchi and Owen. It's a really heartwarming story. So thanks ever so much for interacting with us and watching the show, and we'll see you next week. See you later. Cheers.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.